You're scrolling at 2 a.m., and a podcast clip pops up. A guy with a nice microphone is telling you that ancient Egyptians couldn't possibly have cut solid granite. He confidently states that copper is too soft, the angles are too precise, and therefore a lost, hyper-advanced alien civilization had to step in with high-powered lasers. And because you personally struggled to assemble a basic IKEA desk without having a mild breakdown, you think, yeah, makes sense. Humans couldn't do that. But let's be entirely clear. Subscribing to that viral pseudo-archaeology doesn't make you an enlightened freethinker. It just means you drastically underestimate what human beings are capable of when they have a deep understanding of physics, infinite patience, and absolutely no internet to distract them. Just like the scientific community is currently fighting an endless war against AI-generated slop and sensationalist clickbait promising fake prehistoric monster shit, we are fighting a war against the erasure of human history. Modern creators love to look at ancient megastructures and diagnose a sci-fi mystery where there isn't one. They fall into the trap of thinking that without modern technology, our ancestors were basically helpless. But ancient humans didn't need alien magic. They had the ultimate biological cheat code: collective human ingenuity and applied friction. So let's break down the brilliant, exhausting, and very real primitive engineering methods that actually built the ancient world. Step 1. The abrasive truth. Let's tackle the biggest myth first. Copper saws can't cut granite. If you just rub a copper blade against a block of granite, you are right. The copper will just bend, dull, and get ruined. But ancient engineers weren't stupid. They didn't use the copper to cut the stone. They used the copper to move the actual weapon: sand. Here is the physical override. Quartz sand is significantly harder than the feldspar and mica that make up granite. When you pour a slurry of water and quartz sand into a groove and you drag a heavy, toothless copper saw back and forth, the soft copper grabs the hard sand crystals and drags them violently across the rock. The sand does the cutting. The copper is just the vehicle. It's literal mechanical physics at work. It's not a laser beam. It is the slow, relentless, grueling application of friction. Step 2. Shock the system. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the massive quarries? How did they get 1,000-ton obelisks out of the bedrock in the first place? If you can't saw it out, you need to shock the system. Ancient humans used dolerite pounders. Dolerite is a dense volcanic rock that is significantly harder and heavier than granite. Imagine hundreds of workers dropping heavy, melon-sized dolerite balls onto the granite bedrock, hour after hour, day after day. They would literally pulverize the granite into dust, carving deep, wide trenches around the massive blocks they wanted to extract. It sounds like an absolute punishment, but it's just a highly effective, incredibly exhaustive engineering method. It requires zero electricity, just raw human endurance. Step 3. The wedge expansion. Once you have a trench carved out, how do you snap thousands of tons of rock off the Earth? You speak the planet's language. They would carve small slots into the base of the rock, drive incredibly dry wooden wedges into those slots, and then soak the wood with water. When wood absorbs water, it expands with terrifying, unstoppable force. The physical pressure of the expanding wood would cleanly crack the granite right along the fault line. No explosives required, just biology and geology working together. The paradigm shift. The main reason you struggle to believe this is because of your modern bias. You live in a world optimized for maximum comfort and instant gratification, where if a video buffers for 5 seconds, you lose your mind. You cannot fathom a project taking 30 years. But for ancient builders, time was a resource they possessed in abundance. They didn't have 64 tabs open in their brains. They had a singular, culturally unifying focus. When a pharaoh or a king says, "Build this," you don't complain about the pacing. You get with the grinding. Look, leaning on the aliens did it crutch is an insult to the greatest engineers in human history. It strips away the brutal, brilliant legacy of our ancestors who looked at a mountain of stone and figured out exactly how to dismantle it with sand, wood, and sweat. The modern algorithm profits massively off keeping you distracted and feeding you sensationalist garbage. But you have consciousness. You can choose to step out of the echo chamber. Stop diagnosing ancient achievements as supernatural miracles just because you are disconnected from physical labor. So the next time a podcast bro tells you the pyramids were built by lasers, drop your shoulders, take a real breath, and remember the crushing, unsexy power of human grit. Are you going to keep buying into the viral fantasy, or are you ready to respect the actual history of us?
enjoyed this video, you could help us out and click like and subscribe. See you next time.